What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the Bond of Live podcast. In this video, we're going to be talking about grading each team's offseason moves. I have a list of all the moves that every team made. We're going to be talking about it. This also includes the draft picks that they made. So we did not really get to talk about the NBA draft or the offseason. So this is going to be like a two-in-one thing. We can kill two birds with one stone with this list right here. Obviously, some teams are going to be going faster than others because some teams made a lot of moves and some teams did not make moves at all. So we'll see how it goes. But um, I'll be giving the guys the players that each team added and the players that each team lost, starting with the Atlanta Hawks. So before we get started, do y'all have anything to say or not? Should I just go?
We can just go.
Yeah, you can just go.
All right, let's get started with the Atlanta Hawks. Like I said, so the players that they added obviously drafted Jalen Johnson at number 20, Sharif Cooper in the second round. Free agency re-signed Solomon Hill, Gorgie Jang, Trey Young extension, John Collins being re-signed, as well as Lou Williams being re-signed. They traded for DeLon Wright, and in a trade that they lost Chris Dunn and Bruno Fernando. So those were their major additions and losses. Now this is from NBA.com, so if they're missing something, it's not on me. Um, I'll go first. I like the DeLon Wright pickup. I think he's a very underrated player. It's good that they got their guys. You know, they got their guys back. John Collins was probably their biggest priority, and they re-signed him. Lou Will re-signing off the bench. You know, Sharif Cooper, I like that pickup. I think they had a nice draft. Definitely should not have fallen to 48, but he's a nice guard that can back up Trey Young, especially because Lou Williams is getting up there in age. They have another center in Gorgie Jang, and then Jalen Johnson at 20. I thought was a steal as well. So I thought they had a pretty good draft. I'll probably give them a B plus.
Yeah, I'm agree with you on basically everything. They brought their guys back. They did a really good job in the draft. Sharif Cooper is an absolute steal, and Jalen Johnson at 20 was also like a kind of steal. So I'd give him like an A minus.
Yeah, I was gonna give them a B plus. They got their core back. They'll be fully set to make another push at an Eastern Conference final more than likely. I don't know if they'll get that far, but they brought their core back, so good for them. Especially getting John Collins back. That was critical. So yeah, I'll give them a B plus.
All right, next team, Boston Celtics. They drafted. I'm not gonna try to pronounce this guy's name, but I know who he is out of France at 45. Um, they added Ines Kanter back, as they probably always do from free agency, and then they traded for Al Horford, Josh Richardson, Chris Dunn, and Bruno Fernando, while losing Kemba Walker, the 16th pick, which turned out to be Alperen Sengun, and Tristan Thompson, and also lost out to Evan Fournier and Semi Ojale, uh, leaving in free agency. Now, the Celtics, I think that, obviously losing Kemba, it was kind of written in the stars. He's probably gone. The return Al Horford and Moses Brown is what they originally got, but they flipped Moses Brown for Josh Richardson. I like Josh Richardson. I think the Celtics are going to run him a lot at the point guard, backup point guard, starting point guard. He's going to get some point guard minutes, I think, because they have Pritchard, but apart from him, they don't have a true point guard unless it's like Marcus Smart. So I think he'll get some point guard minutes, and that's when he's at the best, when he's handling the ball. Like, the reason he was not flourishing with the Sixers and the Mavs was because they try to play him as a spot-up shooter, and that's not his game. Chris Dunn, I like that pickup, another defensive guard, but they have three already on their roster, so I expect one of them to be gone by the deadline. Ines Kanter always finds his way back to Boston. Al Horford, Robert Williams, they have a lot of centers. We'll see what happens if one of them plays before. Evan Fournier, I thought was an L, losing him, because I thought he's a good scorer to have. They haven't really found a replacement for him. But I think this is good for them. They're not going to probably be as good as they were in years past, but I think this is good because I thought they were trying to contend too early, with their young stars. I think it's a good idea to hire a new coach and then build with their young stars.
Hey, I think the Celtics actually did a decent job here because from the start, I didn't think that Kemba Walker, this Kemba Walker signing for them, that sign and trade for Rozier was going to work. He just didn't seem like a guy to fit their team. He's just a pure scorer, and they already got pure scorers on that team. They needed a real ball handling playmaker. And although they did have Marcus Smart, now he's going to be playing a bigger role there too. And I think he's a better playmaker than Kemba Walker. So I think that their offense is going to flow even better now. He's not going to be a guy taking away touches from Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. As for their losses in Fournier. I think that Fournier is just a tad bit overrated. I really don't like him defensively, and he's kind of inconsistent. But when he is hot, he's a really good scorer. I'd give him like a B.
I really don't know what to think about this offseason, if I'm being honest. We kind of knew Kemba was out the door, and I had a feeling that Fournier was gonna walk because I didn't think we had enough money to get him back. Anyways, considering he got 19.5 mil a year, which is just crazy money. But I really don't know what to think. I think the center position is solid. Horford's a nice veteran, even though he's being paid 27 million a year until next year. Robert Williams growing. I wish we didn't give up Moses Brown though, but it is what it is. Richardson will play nicely as a guard. Chris Dunn, Marcus Smart, 3 really good defensive guards. I assume one will play shooting guard coming off the bench. Romeo Langford, Neesmith develop, and at the end of the day, it all depends on the two stars, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. If they take the step that I think they will be set. But in terms of the offseason, I think Brad Stevens has done an okay job. I wouldn't really, put it past him to give them an A at all. I would say a B or B minus at this point.
Makes sense. Next team, Brooklyn Nets. I thought had a really underrated draft. Cam Thomas, best scorer in the draft. You can say Jalen Green, but as of right now, Jalen Green is potentially going to be the best scorer. But right now, Cam Thomas, led the conference, led the nation in scoring. Apart from Max Asmus, he's a guy that he's a pure bucket getter. So they got him at 27, and they got their big need in a big man. They got Daron Sharp, who's going to be a big body down low. So I love their draft. Kessler Edwards is underrated. The other two, we'll see what happens with them. Marcus Zagorowski, I'm pretty sure, is Michael Carter Williams' brother. So we'll see what happens with him. I thought they actually lost out on Jeff Green. I thought was a pretty big loss. I'm not even gonna lie. I think he was probably their best. Apart from the big three, their best role player. And losing him is gonna be big. But I thought Patty Mills was a steal. The signing. I thought Patty Mills is a very good, very underrated player. And him coming off the bench, they didn't really have that backup point guard. I don't even know who their backup point guard was last year. Obviously, Dinwiddie got injured, so they didn't really have like a true backup point guard. Tyler Johnson was the only one really on that team. Landry Shamet, they lost out on some shooting, but they got a defensive guard in Javon Carter. And James Johnson hopefully fills in that Jeff Green void. He's not going to be as great of a shooter, but he will be a great, if not better, defender than Jeff Green was. So I'll probably give them a B. I would probably be higher because I love their draft, but I just thought losing out Jeff Green was pretty big.
Once again, I agree with you, Suhas. I think that Jeff Green was a huge need that they had to re-sign. Although they did kind of replace him with James Johnson, I think that Jeff Green is a severely underrated player, and he's a great role player for any team. He can shoot the 3-ball really well. He's a great defender, and he can run that small ball 5, so he has versatility too. So I would also give them a B.
I thought Brooklyn did a decent job. Again, the Jeff Green loss is big because Jeff Green, he's sort of he's sort of the guy that wouldn't take touches away. He's sort of the guy that KD, Kyrie, and Harden wanted to get touches after. I'm sorry, wanted to kick out to shooters, and Jeff Green, probably one of the best catch and shoot guys at the power forward position. I think it was like 40% from 3. Crazy stuff. But the loss of him, especially on the defensive end, because they needed someone to lock down small forward, because KD really isn't going to play defense. Let's be honest. He's mostly focused on the offensive end when he wants to. So that's going to be huge. But Patty Mills is a really good signing, considering he dropped 40 yesterday in the bronze medal game. Crazy stuff. But I don't know. I'd give the Nets a B. Their core basically relies on the big three and how the big three play. And we most likely think the big three will play really well this year, considering they had a flop season last year. So we will see what the big three do, but I'd give them a B for this offseason.
Charlotte Hornets, next team. I thought, in my opinion, were the winners of the draft. James Bouknight at 11 was a steal. Kai Jones at 19 was a steal. JT Thor at 37 was a steal. Scotty Lewis, I thought was a little bit of a reach, but Scotty Lewis at 56 is fine in my opinion. But they did address the center position. Kai Jones will come in and probably be the starting center. I don't know. Has Biyombo re-signed, or is he a free agent, or is he still on the
Still a
roster?
free
They got
agent.
Mason
Still a
Plumlee.
free agent.
They got
Oh,
Mason
they
Plumlee.
did. They got Mason Plumlee. You're
They
right.
got
So
Mason
Kai Jones will
Plumlee, yeah,
probably
the
come off the
trade.
bench. Yeah. So that was their draft. Free agency. They brought in Ish Smith and Kelly Oubre. Traded for Mason Plumlee. And then they lost out on Devontae Graham and a sign and trade for, I'm pretty sure, a future first or something like that. And then Cody Zeller walked to the Portland Trailblazers. So I thought they had a really. I'm not even gonna lie. I was really impressed by their draft. I think the draft is the reason why I'm gonna give them an. I was super impressed by what they did.
Your mic got muffled.
Oh my bad, no. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
He said. You can hear me? Okay, cool. I'll just cut this part out. Um. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Kelly Oubre, I thought was a nice pickup. Ish Smith, backup point guard. They have Lamelo and Rozier, and then Book Knight, and then Ish Smith will probably back up one of them. And I just thought they had a nice offseason. I probably will give them an A minus. The draft was really impressive to me. I like the draft.
I think the Hornets did a great job this offseason, at least so far. Adding Kelly Oubre, he's pretty young. He's a great player to come off the bench or even start for them. I don't know if they're gonna start him over like a Miles Bridges or something, or PJ Washington, I believe it is. But yeah, I think they did a great job, especially in that draft. Like you said, they got a couple steals, and they got good free agent signings, and they traded the 57th pick for Mason Plumlee and the 37th or like 47th or something like that. So apparently Mason Plumlee's contract added negative value, so that's a good pickup right there. So I think they deserve an A. I think they did a great job.
I can't disagree here. I have to give the Hornets an A. The only move I would say that really I didn't like is signing Borrego to that extension. I don't think James Borrego's a good head coach at all. I'm not even kidding. I don't think he's that good. He's from the pop tree, but I don't think he's a good coach. Other than that, getting Bouknight and Kai Jones in the draft, big time steals. And getting Kelly Oubre, their forwards are going to be that forward position in Charlotte, the small forward and power forward position, is going to be so stacked. Kelly Oubre, Gordon Hayward, Miles Bridges, PJ Washington, that's a stacked core. Plus you have two really good guards in LaMelo and Rozier. And Bouknight is going to be a really good guard too, playing three. The loss of Devontae Graham really won't affect them that much because he was basically playing six-man for him. Boudinot can play that pretty well, I guess. And again, it's just all about developing with this team, developing chemistry, getting Miles Bridges up getting him to develop PJ Washington, Boudinot, Kai Jones, and having Gordon Hayward and Rozier, with LaMelo as well, and getting Hayward and Rozier as veterans to help this team out. This team, nobody really talked about this team this offseason. Everybody talked about the next team we'll talk about, I think. But Charlotte could very well be one of the top 8 seeds next year. But again, it just all depends on chemistry, I guess. But I have to give them an A for this offseason, without a doubt.
Yeah, I think that the Hornets did a great job in this offseason. Obviously, they lost out on Devontae Graham, who went to the Pelicans. And also Malik Monk, who left to the Lakers. But I think that they still made it up with the draft, getting a steal of James Bouknight at 11 and then trading up with New York, I think, to get that 19th pick in Kai Jones, who we all thought that they were going to end up taking at 11. So just a major W in the draft for Charlotte, also adding JT Thor and Scotty Lewis. I also do love the additions of Kelly Oubre Jr. and also Mason Plumlee, who they used him to trade up 20 picks in the draft, or in the second round, I guess, but still. and they add up that depth in the center position with Plumlee and also the additions of Oubre at that forward position, which is looking really, really good with, like he just said, with Hayward and Washington and Bridges. But yeah, I do like this offseason for Charlotte, so I'm going to be giving them an A for sure.
Next team, Chicago Bulls. Man, I think they had an absolute W of an offseason. I'm gonna give them an A plus. Ayo Dosunmu was an absolute steal, man. Shout out to my boy, my fellow Illini. At 38, that is crazy. But he stays in his hometown. Alex Caruso, they got him as a backup point guard. Lonzo Ball and DeRozan, obviously the big additions. I mean, they lost out on Tomas Satoransky, Garrett Temple, Daniel Tice, and Thaddeus Young. That's fine. You know, I don't think those are huge losses. Thaddeus Young will probably be the biggest loss because he was a nice veteran for them. But I just I just love their offseason. I just think that Lonzo and Caruso are two defensive guards, and they're not really. And last year they had one of the worst defensive backcourts. So adding them two in will be nice. Nice additions. And DeRozan is a nice vet to have. So A plus, man. I don't think I have to say much about this team.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you once again. You're pretty spot on for me. The Bulls, I think they had the best, if not the second best, offseason of any team currently. Great pickups for the guards. Plus that DeRozan pickup was kind of unexpected, and it fits the team pretty much as well. They kind of have to choose if they want to bring back Marketing or not. Kind of seems like he wants to walk, but he is a restricted free agent, so they can match whatever offer he gets. It's really up to them, but I think they've done extremely well this offseason, and I think that they're going to be a real threat to the East next year. I'd give them an A+.
I'm going to give them an A+ as well. I really this team, I'm so glad that Zach LaVine is not going to have a terrible team anymore. He's going to probably make the playoffs this year, I feel. And I'm so happy for him because he does not deserve to be on a losing team. And I'm glad the Chicago Bulls front office recognized that, and they made deals this offseason. Bringing in Lonzo, bringing in DeRozan, getting Caruso. They're going to be very loaded because they still got Kobe White too. Kobe White, Patrick Williams. We're not even talking about those guys. They're already solidified at this team. Vucevic, Zach LaVine. That's going to be a well-rounded team. But it just depends on the chemistry, I guess, between all of them. I feel like Lonzo, the signing is good. Here's the problem: you brought DeRozan, who also makes a lot. So Lonzo might be relegated to being a spot-up shooter at times if DeRozan decides, unless they unleash DeRozan to score. Lonzo's not going to be making that much, I feel, but. I feel like this team is poised to make a playoff run, but again, it just depends on chemistry. But again, good for Zach LaVine, man. I'm giving this team an A+.
Yeah, I think the Bulls definitely get an A+ from basically everybody. They get their point guard. Looks like more than likely Kobe White is going to be coming off the bench, but Zach LaVine and Lonzo Ball, I've loved the idea of this backcourt for the longest time when it was just first rumored. Defensively and offensively between the two, and DeMar DeRozan is probably going to be the starting four, at least off the top of my head, with Lauri Markkanen basically wanting out of Chicago, and Patrick Williams is probably going to get that starting spot at 3, or it'll be between Patrick Williams and DeMar DeRozan between the small forward and power forward, and then you have obviously Vucevic at the 5. So I love this team going into this season. I think that they can make some noise. Definitely not like a championship contending team, because they've never played with each other, which was the main reason why I think that the Nets were not able to win it, but of course with injuries too. But yeah, I think the Bulls are definitely going to make some noise, and they should be able to make the playoffs, but I'm definitely giving them an A+ for this offseason, as well as also adding on to what Suha said with the steal, possibly one of the best steals of the draft with Ayo Dosunmu.
All right, Cleveland Cavaliers, we can speed through this one because they didn't really do shit. Evan Mobley, they fell right in their lap. Great pick, obviously the most obvious pick in the draft. And then they extended Jared Allen, and then they had the one trade where they traded away Ricky Rubio for Taurean Prince, which I thought they won. Ricky Rubio, I think, is a better player, and with the possible rumors of Sexton moving on, he'll probably be the only true point guard on the team because Darius Garland and Sexton are both scoring. They like to score the ball, so if they trade away Sexton, Ricky Rubio is a good guy that can just take his place, and you can slide Darius Garland over to the 2 if you want to. But I thought they did. I just thought they did what they could have, so I'm gonna give them an A.
I think that the Cavs, you're right. They did what they could have, but I think re-signing and getting Jared Allen was the biggest thing they had to do this offseason. He's going to be one of the greatest big men in our league in a few years. And they also got Evan Mobley alongside him, which is going to be one lethal front court in the future. I think that that Ricky Rubio trade was also pretty good for them, as they didn't really have a backup point guard. I think Damian Dotson, or I'm a bit wrong. I think he was their backup point guard last season. So they kind of needed somebody to come in and
It
get
was
that.
Dellavedova.
I don't think he got many minutes last year, didn't he?
Oh, maybe I don't know. I thought Damian Dotson was shooting guard, but
I don't know. Maybe it was Dellavedova. But yeah, they kind of needed a backup point guard, and Ricky Rubio is the perfect vet for them. So I'd give them an A-.
Yeah, I'm gonna give them a B plus here. Jared Allen was the big time. They needed to bring back Jared Allen. Sexland, I feel like maybe they might let this go. Bringing Ricky Rubio was big, and then getting Mobley in the draft was really nice. They got to get rid of that Kevin Love contract though, as fast as they can. Other than that, I gotta give them a B plus. They did pretty good this offseason, by the way.
I'm gonna be giving the Bulls probably a B. I think Ricky Rubio, like teams like
the Cavs.
the Cavs. Yeah, the Cavs. But I'm gonna be giving the Cavs a B. I think it teams like contenders like possibly the Clippers or the Bucks or some team like that to go after Ricky Rubio in a trade because they basically got nothing with Taurean Prince. But the Cavs, I guess, took Ricky Rubio to be their backup point guard. I think that the Cavs are up to something big other than signing Jared Allen, he was expected to be re-signed. But I think that the Cavs could be up to something big possibly a Sexton and Kevin Love trade, but we don't really know what's going on there. But I think that Kevin Love is bound to be traded or bought out in the meantime soon. Or I mean not up to something big, but I mean they're up to something big like trade wise to get rid of Sexton. I mean another team is up to something big talking with the Cavs, but who knows? I think the Cavs going to be here. They didn't really make too many moves, but yeah.
All right, next team also did not really make too many moves because they didn't have any picks. But they did make some trades. But Moses Brown is a nice center to have. I love the Moses Brown pickup, especially because Josh Richardson was not really working on your team. He didn't fit. So I thought the Mavericks did pretty well. I'll probably give them a B plus.
Yeah, I think that the Moses Brown pickup was very nice for the Mavericks, as their starting center position. It's kind of been iffy. Dwight Powell kind of fit in there. Sometimes Porzingis went there, and then Kleber at the 4, but they didn't really have like a young, nice center to keep there. And I think that Moses Brown will be that guy. I think that they kind of need to move Porzingis though, because I don't think he and Luka are really a good matchup, and his value, maybe at the deadline, will go up. And I think that they need to move him. But for this offseason, I think that they, with the signing of Reggie Bullock and a few other players and their re-signings, I'd give him a B.
Yeah, I'll give him a B as well. The Reggie Bullock signing was really impressive, I thought. Dude shot the lights out in New York. New York's going to miss him, I feel. Again, getting rid of Richardson's contract, I guess, expiring. I think he's on a player option. He accepted the player option, but still going to be an expiring contract regardless after this year. Big for them. Moses Brown's a young center. He'll fill that void nicely. They got to get rid of Porzingis. Klebo fit nice. They got some nice pieces. They got back Hardaway Jr. Luka's gonna have to carry this team on his back, and there's no other way point of it. But he's got shooters around him. He's got Bullock, Hardaway, Kleba, Dorian Finney-Smith. He's got shooters around him, and Porzingis. I feel like they got it. Getting rid of Carlisle might solve the problem a little bit. Maybe they start posting up Porzingis a little bit more. I forgot who the new coach was in Dallas, but they're gonna need to
Jason Kidd.
post up. Who? Jason Kidd. Right.
Jason Kidd.
Okay.
Jason Kidd.
I feel like Jason Kidd might post up Porzingis a little bit more. Might use him to his talents. I don't know. But we will see. But Luka's gonna have to carry his team. But other than that, I'll give him a B for this offseason. They're all right.
Yeah, I think that the Mavs did a pretty good job making that trade for Moses Brown, who was a nice young. What was that? I think the Mavs did a pretty good job this offseason trading for Moses Brown, who's a nice young center. And I like the re-signing of Hardaway as well as bringing in Reggie Bullock, who's a major shooter. I'm agreeing with Suhas. I'm not sure if you said that it was an underrated move, but I know before when that signing happened, you said that. I think that that's a good signing for Dallas to put around Luka, but I don't think that the Mavs are championship contenders again. Or not again. I don't think that they ever were, and I don't think that they are this year once again. But I don't think Porzingis is being moved. We saw those rumors after he choked in the playoffs, but it looks like I think he would have been traded prior to the draft, and with that not happening, I think that they're going to try to write it out with KP. So, like I said, I don't think that Dallas is going to go far this season. I mean, their ceiling is possibly the Western Conference Finals, but I like what they've done this offseason. I'll give them a B.
Next team, Denver Nuggets, was not as active as some other teams, but they did make a draft pick, nice draft pick in my opinion. Bones Highland, he's gonna do what every player that goes to the Nuggets does, man. They somehow fill it up off the bench, and I like Bones Highland. I think he probably could have increased his stock if he played in the tournament, but unfortunately, on some nonsense, VCU got disqualified because of some COVID or something. But he got drafted there. They re-signed Will Barton and JaMychal Green, and they brought in a really good player in Jeff Green, and also re-signed Austin Rivers. Did they re-sign Paul Millsap? Because he's not on this list. I don't know if Paul Millsap has been re-signed or not. Or is Paul Millsap on a different team? I'm not sure. But yeah, I have no clue about Paul Millsap.
Hasn't signed anywhere. He's still free agent.
Have a shot creator, a good catch. Okay, so apart from that, JaVale McGee was their only loss. They don't have a backup center unless I'm missing someone. They probably will try to play JaMychal Green as a backup 5, but that's one thing that they don't have. If Jokic is, tired or something, they might need someone to replace him. But apart from that, I would probably give him a B.
All right. For the Denver Nuggets, I thought they did a pretty decent job. Sure, getting Bull Barton, getting JaMychal Green. The Jeff Green signing will help a lot. I don't know if Jamal Murray. I don't think Jamal Murray is playing at the beginning of the season. Correct me if I'm wrong. Off that ACL tear, but I think he'll be back mid-season. I think, if I'm not mistaken. So, I think their starting point guard is going to be Campazzo. I don't know if they signed anybody other than that, but Jokic is going to have to carry, again, it's like a Luka scenario. Jokic is going to have to carry this team. He's going to have to put them on his back. Michael Porter Jr. is going to have to develop a little bit. I'll give him a B for this offseason. I thought he did solid enough getting Jeff Green and JaMychal Green back, as well as Will Barton.
Yeah, I do like this offseason for the Nuggets, getting back Will Barton as well as I think Jeff Green they brought in. Did JaMychal Green re-sign or did he sign with another team?
JaMychal Green re-signed. I just don't know Paul Millsap. Paul Millsap didn't re-sign though. I don't know what Paul Millsap said.
I don't think Paul Mill. I mean, he's 36 years old.
I don't think he signed with the team.
I don't know. He's still a free agent. I think that he could go to a contender like Phoenix or possibly like the Bucks or something. Or I don't know, a team like I think the Suns. He could just land it on that minimum deal. But I still like this offseason for the Nuggets. Also getting Highland in the draft, I think, is a really good pick late in that first round. So I'm going to be giving the Nuggets a B plus. I think they lost. I think they re-signed Austin Rivers. I want to say, or if not, they still got Highland in the draft. So I'm going to be giving Denver a B plus.
All right, next team, Detroit Pistons. I'm not going to spend much time on this team. They automatically get an A plus because they got Cade Cunningham. Apart from that, I'm not really interested in any of their other moves. Apart from Kelly Olynyk, they got in free agency. This team is going to be trash, but they're rebuilding and they got the number 1 pick, so they get an A plus.
What team were we doing again?
Pistons.
The Pistons, right? Well, yeah. Then the Pistons get an A. Then I mean, they got Cade Cunningham. There's really nothing much else to say. They got rid of Mason Plumlee's big contract. Other than that, they get an A for this offseason. Didn't they sign someone else too, if I'm not mistaken?
They got Olynyk.
Kelly
Olynyk?
Olynyk, yeah.
Yeah, get paid, bruh. Good offseason for them, I'd say. And they got my boy Saban Lee back. I think he's really underrated. I think he's one of the better young players in the league. Even though he doesn't get PT, he deserves to get PT, though.
Yeah, he's like an 80 in 2K.
Yeah, I think he's really good. Yeah. So I'll give him an A for this offseason.
Yeah, I mean the Pistons obviously did a really good job they drafted Cade Cunningham, which to me makes them a decent winner already. They also got some other pieces in the draft that of course I can't forget right now. But they still got Cade Cunningham. They also got Kelly Olynyk, I guess. I don't really know what to do. It was a huge contract, probably just to be a decent veteran-ish on that team. But who knows? I think that the Pistons won't make the playoffs again. I see them maybe being a top 10 seed, like maybe sneaking into that play-in somehow if they, have a great year. But, I think the Pistons did a pretty good job. I think they also re-signed Hamidou Diallo and Saban Lee. So we'll see what the Pistons do this year. And Cade Cunningham is the face of the franchise for them. So all they can do is hope that he is not a bust.
Golden State Warriors. This is a very interesting team. Obviously drafted Kuminga and Moody at 7 and 14. I'm not gonna lie, I thought they should have drafted Moody at 7 itself, but the fact that they got him at 14 was a steal. Kuminga's gonna probably just be a lob threat for them. I like Otto Porter. I think he's gonna be a nice 3-and-D player there. Bielitsa's a stretch 4. They only lost out on Bazemore and Oubre, but I would have liked to see. I would have liked to see them trade some of their picks, man. At least one of their picks. I would have liked to see them, make a splash, try to get a Bradley Beal. Apparently, they're trying to get Ben Simmons. I don't know. I want to see them do something, like make a move that can put you in that contender spot. Because right now, it's just Curry and Clay and Draymond, and Draymond is not the same player. We don't know how Clay is after his injury, and it's just Steph Curry. But apart from that, they don't really have like another guy. So I want to see them make a move, but we'll see what happens. But apart from if I'm talking about what they did so far, I'll probably just give them I'll give them a B plus.
I was kind of shocked that Golden State didn't trade 7 and 14. I thought it was bound for sure they were gonna trade 7 and 14 with Wiggins and try to get Bradley Beal straight up then and there, but of course they didn't. So I don't know, like it just kind of confuses me. Golden State could be a team that could easily contend, but instead they decided to draft players and let Kelly Oubre walk the door, which I figured it was going to happen anyways. Kelly Oubre was basically hurt towards the end of the year. But it didn't make sense why they drafted. Well, it does, but I thought they were going to trade the picks. But the picks were good. Moody and Kuminga will be good players, and you still got Jordan Poole. But Golden State, I feel like, needs to make one move. And that one move is to get a player like Bradley Beal or a guy like, I don't know. I feel like Bradley Beal is the only big option that's gonna get traded. Maybe Ben Simmons. I don't think it's worth it. Do not trade for Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons and Draymond Green will not work at all. But I feel like they gotta go after Beal if they want to be a contender in the West. But other than that, I'll give them a B for this offseason. I felt like could have traded 7 and 14 though.
Yeah, I mean, the Warriors did have a decent offseason. They didn't make the big splashing move that most people wanted to see them make, whether it was Simmons or possibly Damian Lillard or Bradley Beal. I think that, like you said, they should go after a guy like Bradley Beal, but it looks like Beal wants to stay in Washington. Washington wants Beal to stay, and they have mutual interest in each other. And I don't think Bradley Beal is getting traded anytime soon. But the Warriors have a decent roster this year. They have Clay back, obviously, with Steph Curry. They lost off on Kelly Oubre, and they also traded Eric Pascal, but they did bring in the draft guys like Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga, who Moses Moody, I think, could turn out to be a great player. There was some type of rumors after the draft. I'm not sure. I don't want to say it's true, but it was said that the Warriors were trying to package guys like Moses Moody and some other assets to try to get Chris Duarte from the Pacers, which I don't think is true, but it's just something I saw. But yeah, I think the Warriors are looking really, really nice this year with, like I said, Curry and Clay back. Then you also have those rookies in Kuminga and Moody, and then Draymond Green and James Wiseman should be able to take that leap this year. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do, but I'm going to have to go with them as a B. I'll say B.
All right, next team, Indiana Pacers. Did not make many moves, but they did bring in Chris Duarte at 13. I mean, I had a feeling they would do this because Rick Carlisle he likes his older players. Isaiah Jackson, I thought was a nice pickup. T.J. McConnell, they had to re-sign him. I like the Torrey Craig pickup. And then they did lose out on Doug McDermott, who I thought was pretty big because he was a nice shooter for them. So we'll see who replaces him. But this bringing in Chris Duarte probably tells me that the Malcolm Brogdon is probably getting traded sometime, soon. I don't know when, but Chris Duarte is very similar to Malcolm Brogdon, where he's an older rookie. He's a guy who's ready to play now. He's not a project, and I just have a feeling that Malcolm Brogdon's going to be gone. So we'll see what they do with him, but they're just like a very mid-tier team. They're not too high or too low on the power rankings. So I'm probably just going to give them a B.
So for the Pacers, I didn't really like their pick. I was really hoping that they picked Corey Kispert. I think that he would fit their team perfectly. Also with losing Doug McDermott, he's a great shooter. I think that he would just fit right into their system, and with the playmakers around him, it would just be perfect. I don't know why they picked Chris Duarte, like you said. I don't think he would work with a Malcolm Brogdon on that team. So they didn't make any moves either. They traded Aaron Holiday for that pick. Was it the 20? Did they trade him for the pick, or am I like?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
they
20,
traded for the pick,
yeah.
for 21st pick, yeah. But who did that turn out to be? I forgot.
Isaiah Jackson.
Isaiah Jackson. Okay, yeah, that was a good pickup, but I didn't really like the Chris Duarte, so I'd give him a B minus.
I don't like the Indiana Pacers at all. This team is terribly constructed, in my opinion. I've been saying it for the past 2 years for them to rebuild. Offseason was okay. I feel like they need to trade Brogdon, though. I feel like it's time. But this team doesn't have a general direction. Like, they're always in that 8-9 spot. They might not make the playoffs this year, I feel. But I'll give them a C plus for this offseason. Really didn't do too much, so.
Well, the Pacers, I think we all thought that they were going into this rebuild this offseason, and taking Chris Duarte shows that they literally were trying to tank the draft or something. They had guys like Moses Moody, and I'm blanking out now, or also Corey Kispert. Guys like those were on the board, and they decided to go with Chris Duarte, who, with the most accurate draft, the mock draft that was most accurate was actually, I think, by Tankathon, and they had him going in the early second round or late first round. And with him going in the lottery, it was definitely one of the most surprising moves. And in free agency, they lost Doug McDermott. They also re-signed T.J. McConnell, but they have not really made that big trade between whether it's T.J. Warren or Malcolm Brogdon or Miles Turner. We haven't seen anything really go down. There's been rumors, but nothing official yet. So we'll have to see what happens toward the end of the offseason. But I'm going to be giving the Pacers probably a B. I'll give them a B minus.
All right, so I did skip the Rockets, so we'll talk about the Rockets. Houston Rockets, I thought were another winner of the draft. Jalen Green, Alperen Sengun, Usman Garuba, Josh Christopher. I love their picks. Apart from that, didn't really do much. They got back David Nwaba and got Daniel Tice, and then lost out on Olenek and Brown. But just because of their draft alone, I'm gonna give them an A. I just love their picks. Um, Jalen Green's just gonna be given the keys to score. Sengun is probably gonna play 4-5 with Wood. They're gonna have Garuba develop off the bench, and then Josh Christopher will probably come off the bench because they still have John Wall, Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr. But I love their draft, so I'm gonna give them an A.
I like their draft as well, but the draft kind of like it didn't like make sense, but it kind of did because they picked two big men. Well, they also have Christian Wood. Obviously Usman Garuba and Alperen Şengün are great players. I think Usman Garuba has some of the most potential in this draft, especially on the defensive end. He's insane, and he just pounds the glass. But it just didn't kind of make sense to me. You know what I'm saying? But like, obviously Jalen Green's gonna be great for them. I think that he's gonna develop to be a great scorer in this league. So I'd give them an A minus.
Yeah, I'm gonna give the Rockets an A. This team is gonna be sneaky in the next few years. Jalen Green's gonna be good. I feel like the plan is for them. They were going best player available, and they're probably gonna play Christian Wood at the 4 and have Tice play the 5 and just have Garuba and because remind me if I'm not mistaken. I think it's either Sengun or Garuba can stretch the floor. So they might have one of them play.
Sengun can stretch the floor.
Sengun's is probably going to play the 4 if I'm not mistaken as a backup. They'll probably do that and have Garuba play the 5. No, Garuba's a forward, isn't he?
He's a forward. No, they can both play
Yeah, they
4
can
or
both
5.
play 4. But yeah, I feel like they did a solid job in the draft and getting Tice. Tice is one of the more underrated players in the league. He's actually one of the more. He's very good defensively. I'd say he's got good IQ. And I feel like he'll help Christian Wood out a little bit because he can space the floor too as well to an extent. So I'll give the Rockets an A.
I think that the Rockets did a great job in this offseason. They lost Kelly Olynyk, but obviously they're focusing on the future. And I'm gonna forget most of the moves that they made in the draft, but obviously taking Jalen Green at 2. I think they also got Alperen Şengün, who was supposedly supposed to go. It was supposed to go in the top 15, but he fell to like 19 or 20 in that area. With the trade with what was it? 20?
16.
16. Okay, so it wasn't as bad as I thought, but I think still the Rockets had a pretty good draft. I'm excited to see what Jalen Green and Sengun can do this year. Also with John Wall, what he's going to do. The Rockets are definitely trying to get off of his contract, but there's no takers, obviously, with his 40 mil something. And Eric Gordon was bound to be traded, but he hasn't been yet. So we'll see what goes on with Houston, but obviously no excitement going to be happening this year other than seeing these rookies play. So I'll give them a A minus.
Next team, LA Clippers. They're running it back. They got their guys back. Batum and Leonard re-signed. Keon Johnson was a steal at 21. I like the Jason Preston pick. Brandon Boston, he fell to 51. A lot of people were surprised. I was not. He was pretty terrible in college, but he was still a 5-star recruit in high school, so he still has a lot of potential, in my opinion. But it looks like they're going to run it back with this team. I don't know how long Kawhi Leonard's out for, if he's out for the season or not. Maybe David can tell me when he goes, but we'll see what noise they make. They don't really bring anyone new in as far as veteran pieces in free agency. So this is their team for the next year, I guess.
Yeah, so for Kawhi, the reports are saying 7 to 9 months is like the minimum. So, but if he had the surgery early July, 7 months would be about 3 months before the playoffs start. 9 months would be 1 month before the playoffs start. But knowing Kawhi, I think he'll definitely take at least 9 months because he has had his knee problems in the past, and he likes to take injuries slow and deal with them properly. He doesn't, want to take the risk of getting hurt again. So he might be out for the season. I don't know. It's the same injury Dinwiddie had, and Dinwiddie had it during the season, while Kawhi's having it like in the playoffs of the season before, and Dinwiddie was cleared to play for this year's playoffs. So Kawhi might be back before playoff time, but you can't promise anything. So yeah, I really like the draft picks for the Clippers this year. I think that All three of them were pretty good steals for the Clippers. I really like Jason Preston. He had an insane March Madness. His story is amazing. And Keon Johnson dropped all the way down to, I think it was the 21st or 22nd pick. And Brandon Boston, yeah, a lot of people thought that he was going to go higher. Like you said, he didn't play well in college, but he was really good in high school. So I think that he's also got a lot of potential. So I think their draft picks were pretty decent. I'd give them. Oh, they also brought their guys back with Reggie Jackson, Batum, and Kawhi. So I'd give the Clippers a B plus.
I'll give the Clippers an A. They got their core back. And this core could have very well easily gone to the finals. I have zero problem with them signing Kawhi back, even though he's going to be a little bit late coming to play because of his injury. But getting Batum and Reggie Jackson was very crucial, especially Reggie Jackson, because he really made the Clippers run and go into gear. Really good job by them. Kawhi signing, very good. Just stop the rumors. So, good for the Clippers. I'll give them an A. I thought they did a very good job in the draft as well. But they got their key guys back. Really nothing much else to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to basically Kawhi and whether he can save this Clippers team. If he's out for most of the season or the whole entire season, the Clippers are not. I mean, maybe they sneak into the playoffs, but other than that, I don't really see them doing much. And they didn't really. I don't think that did. They have their first round. No, they did. Who did they draft again?
Keon Johnson.
Yeah, it was a good pickup, but I think that re-signing Batum, obviously seeing him make those plays in the Olympics, and also bringing back Reggie Jackson were major W's. So I'm going to be giving the Clippers a B minus or a B, but I don't really know if they're going to make any noise this year.
I just want to say something about Batum. You guys are saying seeing him make these plays in the Olympics. He's been doing this all year, dude. His defense is absolutely insane. You guys need to just watch more of him. He's a wonderful player to watch.
All right, next team, LA Lakers, were probably the most active team in free agency. Obviously traded for Russell Westbrook before, for KCP, Montrezl, Kuzma, and then the pick that ended up being there. I'm pretty sure it was a pick that ended up being Isaiah Jackson that went to the Pacers, who got the Wizards Aaron Holiday, something like that. They got in Trevor Ariza, Dwight Howard, Wayne Ellington, Ken Bazemore, Kendrick Nunn, Carmelo Anthony, Malik Monk, and then got back Taylor Horn Tucker, and then lost Alex Caruso and Markieff Morris. So they basically have a whole new locker room other than the LeBron, AD, and Taylor Horn Tucker. But, they were pretty good pickups. Dwight is a nice backup center to replace, Drummond, who was pretty terrible for them. Malik Monk, I love Malik Monk. I just think he's going to be a very underrated player. Same with K Nunn. I love K Nunn. I love Malik Monk. I knew K Nunn was not returning here because we didn't have the money. But I was pretty surprised he took a pay cut. I thought he was going to get his money, but he's trying to go for his ring, which I don't blame him for. Melo, we probably all knew he was going there. Wayne Ellington is going to shoot really, really well with LeBron as his, point guard. And apart from that, they had a good offseason. I'm going to give them an A.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Lakers did a great job. I feel like this is slightly, just this tad bit overrated offseason from what everybody's saying. I think that they had some great pickups in Malik Monk and Kendrick Nunn, adding some youth to the roster, both only on, I think it was a 1-year deal. So they're probably going to, if they don't win a championship, they're probably both just going to leave next season and get their money. But I think that was just a tad bit overrated because a lot of the players that they picked up might not be who the Lakers fans think they will be, but I think that Rob Pelinka reconstructed an entire roster, which is absolutely insane in one off season. Only 4 players are the same from last season, so I'd give them an A.
As much as I hate to say it, I have to give the Lakers an A as well. They did a very good job. After that Russell Westbrook trade, I was like, there's no way they can reconstruct a roster that I think will fit that team. Well, apparently they could. They got Wayne Ellington. They got what's his face? Kendrick Nunn. They got Carmelo, Dwight Howard. They filled out the roster nicely. Malik Monk, very good scorer at times. But again, this team will rely on its big three: Westbrook, Anthony Davis, and LeBron James. And I'm telling you right now, this scenario is going to happen, man. LeBron drives, kicks it out to Westbrook, shoots, hits the side of the backboard. It's going to happen. But I got to give them an A, though. But I don't know if they'll do it. Maybe they'll make a Western Conference Finals. And I say maybe because I don't like this team at all. I don't like their spacing.
Well, when the Lakers first made that Westbrook trade, I would say it was an L for them as they had Buddy Hield in their hands, but they decided to go with Russell Westbrook instead, adding another non-shooter onto the team. But in the end, I say that it's a W as they re-signed, obviously, Taylor Horton-Tucker, as well as bringing Kendrick Nunn in, Malik Monk, and Trevor Ariza, Carmelo Anthony, and Ken Bazemore, and Dwight Howard, all these guys, and Wayne Ellington too. All these shooters and just guys that can shoot lights out. Like I said, it's just going to be a fun team to watch with Westbrook, LeBron, and AD, and also having shooters on the bench. Also, I mean, the starting lineup, I guess, too. Between who starts, I guess it could probably be Malik Monk, most likely, but it's going to be fun to see this Lakers team play with Westbrook and LeBron. And yeah, I'm going to be giving the offseason Lakers, I'm going to be giving them an A- just because of how they added their shooters in free agency.
Next team, Memphis Grizzlies. I'll keep this one short. They had the move that we talked about with the Valanciunas and the Steven Adams trade. They ended up picking up Zaire Williams. They lost Grayson Allen. I don't know what that trade was. I'm pretty sure it was for like Sam Merrill and like a second round pick. I thought that was an L. I like Zaire Williams, but I just didn't think he should have been taken this high. Maybe if they, traded down, I would have liked him. But, I say that about a lot of teams, and then it comes out that they try to trade down and no one really was accepting their offers. So at the end of the day, if you like a guy, then go ahead and pick him. And if they're convinced that Zaire Williams is going to be the guy that they like long term, then I don't have a problem with it. It's just the fact that they probably should have traded down, but we'll see what happens with him. I'll probably give them a B. I didn't like the I'm gonna give them a B minus actually. I didn't like the Jonas Valanciunas trade. And especially when they took a guy at 10 who was probably gonna be there at 17 regardless. So I'll probably give him a B minus / C plus.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with you. Jonas Valanciunas is one of the most underrated centers in the league. Absolute beast on the glass, and he's not a bad shooter, especially for a big center of him. He's pretty girthy, and I think that he's a great player, and just trading him away like that for a player who they could have got at around the same pick that they had just didn't make sense to me. And they also took on the big contract of Eric Bledsoe, who's definitely going to leave, maybe even be bought out or traded away, but as of right now, he's on their roster, and they have a big contract on him. And also, Steven Adams has a pretty big contract too. So I don't like that trade, so I'd give him a C.
Yeah, I thought the Grizzlies were going to have a better offseason. I don't know. I feel like they could have done better with their 10th. I still don't know why they didn't take Corey. Who did they take again? I forgot.
They took
Zaire Williams.
Yeah, I don't know
something about the Grayson Allen trade. That was kind of stupid.
Yeah, the Grayson Allen trade, same thing. Like, I don't know, man. They could have taken Corey Kispert. He would have fit John Morant's system so nicely. Again, a shooter, and they didn't get him. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on in Memphis, but we'll see. I didn't like their moves at all. I'll give him a C. I didn't like the Valanciunas for Steven Adams deal either. It didn't make sense. If you're going to take Zaire Williams at 10, making that move, it just doesn't make sense at all. But I give him a C.
Miami
Yeah,
Heat. Oh, my bad. I was too excited about the Heat. Hudson, go.
yeah. Oh no, I'm ready for that team too. But yeah, I'm gonna be giving the Grizzlies probably a C. Also, I think that they didn't really do what most people expected, trading Jonas Valanciunas for Steven Adams and also Eric Bledsoe, who they got. But they moved up in the draft to the 10th pick, which is why some people thought it might be a good addition to the team, whoever they take at 10. whether it's a guy like Corey Kispert or honestly, I don't even know or Josh Giddey. But they took Zaire Williams, and if that's the case, you might as well have stayed at a spot like 17 and also not have added on the contracts of Eric Bledsoe and Steven Adams. So I don't really get that trade for Memphis, as well as also trading Grayson Allen, who's a solid defender and improving his offense, still a very young player out of Duke, and just trade him to the Bucks for like 2 second-round picks and Sam Morril. Now, unless they see something very, very special in Sam Morril, like he's going to be the next greatest player of all time, I don't really see that move making any sense for Memphis, but I'm going to be giving them a C-. They could have made better draft picks and just moves in the offseason in total.
All right, yeah, Miami Heat obviously brought in Kyle Lowry, traded away Goran and Precious Achua, brought in Markieff Morris, PJ Tucker, re-signed Jimmy, Duncan, Victor Oladipo, Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Dwayne Dedman, and the GOAT himself, Omer 7. And then they lost out on Trevor Ariza, Bielitsa, and Iguodala. So I think the Heat took a W, man. I'm not going to lie. I feel a lot better about this roster than I did last year coming into the season. We didn't really do shit last year after the finals. We got in Mo Harkless, and that was about it. So I'm happy that we're going all in. You know, you can talk about the amount of the money we're paying, but I just think it sends a message that we're trying to go all in now. So it doesn't I don't really care about the money because it's only a couple of years, and if it doesn't pan out, it doesn't pan out. And we've seen that the Heat have gotten so many bad contracts off the books in the past. So I'm not worried about the money we're paying to Jimmy or Duncan or Lowry or anyone like that. Oladipo I thought was like a low risk, high reward thing. Like if he pans out, like a minimum deal is a steal for him because he's projected to come back in January. So if he pans out, if he does pretty well, like at the worst, he's still a capable defender. I thought PJ was a great addition. You know, he's gonna bring a lot of toughness. Probably will start alongside Bam. Morris off the bench can be a stretch for Dwayne Dedman. We got him back. We still have one more roster about to fill out. I'm hoping we can sign a guy like Wesley Matthews or someone like that in because I think we need one more shooter. And I think we'll be good. We did this while keeping Hero as well. Losing Dragic will be tough. I knew Achua will be traded though because he didn't really fit the timeline. I'm gonna give us an A. I'm not gonna give us an A+, but I'm gonna give us an A.
The Miami Heat made some great moves this offseason. I think they did very well. I think Kyle Lowry is a great fit in their roster. And as I'm from Toronto, I've seen a lot of Kyle Lowry, and he's a great player. You're going to love him over there in South Beach. Obviously you got rid of Dragic and Precious Achua, two great players. Precious didn't fit the timeline, and you guys kind of needed to get a better point guard. So I guess that trade did pretty well for you guys, and hopefully it does well. You guys also signed Markieff Morris and PJ Tucker, who are two great pickups. You guys really had a hole in that power forward last year, I think. Obviously, Trevor Ariza kind of played there. He wasn't that bad, but Bielitsa was kind of trash. I think he was a really overrated trade that was made. I didn't like him at all. I thought that he's kind of washed. He's not that great anymore. He can kind of shoot. That's it. But you guys kind of had a hole in that 4, so I think those 2 pickups were great for you guys, and I think you guys are gonna have a good year next year. I'll give you guys an A.
Yeah, I gotta give the Heat an A. As much as I hate to say it, they filled pretty much everything. They got PJ Tucker, they got a good point guard in Kyle Lowry, filled out their bench nicely, got Duncan back on a nice deal. I mean, there's really nothing much you can say. I got rid of Dragic's contract as well. I mean, very well done from Miami. Unless something happens with this tampering deal that goes on, which I don't see anything happening. Miami's more than likely going to make an Eastern Conference final, or they'll make the second round. Probably they could make a finals run too, more than likely, if their core gels together. And they extended Jimmy too for 4 years. That's kind of critical too. People kind of forget about that, but I think this is a very successful season for the Heat, off-season for the Heat. I got to give them an A. I mean, hats off to Pat Riley. That's incredible.
Oh yeah. The Heat are definitely getting an A here. Starting off by making that sign and trade for Kyle Lowry. Dragic, as much as I love him, he did a lot for our team. He did he did much for our team last year, but in the end, it would not be enough to get us a championship, which is the ultimate goal. And Precious Achua, obviously, we're looking like a decently win-now team. As Precious Achua, I think will be good for the Raptors as a player most likely to come off the bench. But with the Heat last season, we didn't do anything like Suha said. Bringing in like Mo Harkless and Avery Bradley was basically it. And I didn't really expect us to do much because we had the same team that we just lost the finals with, and also we lost Jay Crowder, Derrick Jones Jr. So I didn't really think we were going to do much. But now bringing in guys like Kyle Lowry, re-signing Duncan Robinson, and also bringing in PJ Tucker and Markieff Morris and Ober Yurtseven, Max Strus, Gabe Vincent. I love this team going into next season. Now I'm excited to see what they can do. And looking into this playoff defensive lineup between Kyle Lowry, Victor Oladipo, Jimmy Butler, PJ Tucker or Markieff Morris, and then Bam Adebayo, I'm loving it. I don't think any team is scoring on us. And if some team decides to foul Jimmy Butler, then they're gonna have to go into it with some guys, because I know that PJ Tucker, Markieff Morris, Kyle Lowry, Victor Oladipo, they're all gonna get into it. They're gonna have at least a couple fights a game. But I'm giving the Heat an A.
All right, next we move on to the champions, Milwaukee Bucks. Lost out on PJ Tucker and Bryn Forbes. PJ Tucker, I think they got to fill his void. I don't know if Semi Ojeleye is the replacement. If he is, then whoever the GM is needs to be fired. But Bobby Portis was a nice guy that they brought back. They also brought back George Hill. I think if they can fill out that PJ Tucker void and probably like strengthen their bench, Bryn Forbes was killing us in that series, but if they can fill out their bench a little bit and then, fill out their roster, they'll be solid. They'll be right in the mix of the top teams in the NBA next year. So I'm gonna give them a B+.
So yeah, for the Bucks, a lot of people forget that Dante DiVincenzo was injured in the playoffs. So this guy was a huge player for them in the regular season. And he's a great player, great defender. He's decent playmaker, and I think that he's gonna fit into that starting lineup next year. At the 2, and then they're gonna slide Middleton over to the they will slide Middleton over to the 3 and Giannis at the 4, because they were starting. I'm pretty sure they were starting PJ Tucker. They're playing pretty tall, but I'm pretty sure that Dante DiVincenzo, when he comes back, he's gonna be playing that 2 guard. If they do re-sign, or if they do sign back George Hill, as the rumors have been coming, because Dante DiVincenzo was running that backup point guard at some point in the season when they brought in PJ Tucker. So he was normally starting at the 2, but he came when Tucker came in, he slid the back to the 6th man as a point guard. And if they do get George Hill, he's just going to take that point guard. And I think Dante's going to get back into that starting lineup as the replacement for Tucker, because he's a great player. So I think that this team, they did get slightly worse with that PJ Tucker, but they also got Semi Ojeleye and Grayson Allen, which was a pretty good trade for them. I think Grayson Allen will fit Giannis really well. I'd give them A-.
Do not be fooled. Semi Ojeleye is not that good of a signing. There are days when he will be one of the worst 3-point shooters ever, and you'll be literally slamming your head on a table, wondering why even is he shooting. And then when he gets past the ball, he hesitates and bricks. But, anyways, good. They need to fill the PJ Tucker void, but they didn't really need to do anything this offseason, I guess. Their core is still intact. Dante DiVincenzo's coming back. A player we haven't talked about, I think, who hasn't signed yet, Dennis Schroeder. We haven't talked about Schroeder yet, but Schroeder there's a possibility he could go to the Bucks, and that would really propel them over the top. But other than that, I'd give them a B. But again, they're the champs, and Giannis is going to be more than determined to go back to back. So, yeah.
I do like this offseason for the Bucks. I mean, for certain things, they did bring in George. They signed George Hill to be probably backup point guard. With Bryn Forbes going, I think, back to San Antonio, I want to say. And also they brought in Grayson Allen, who I think is a great I just said it with the Grizzlies. I don't know why they made that trade, but for the Bucks, it's a W. They didn't have Dante DiVincenzo. They're going to have him back now in this probably starting lineup. As well as also they've lost PJ Tucker. They brought back Bobby Portis on a surprisingly small deal worth like it was worth like what 4 or 5 mil a year, which was extremely surprising. But yeah, I do like what the Bucks did this offseason. Maybe they can go back to the finals, but who knows?
And one fucking guy already.
All right, next team is the Minnesota Timberwolves. We're probably just gonna skip this team because they did absolutely nothing. They literally just traded for Taurean Prince. That's it. So we're gonna skip this team. And then after that is gonna be the New Orleans Pelicans, who drafted Trey Murphy, and then obviously to that Jonas Valanciunas trade, traded for Tomas Satoransky and Garrett Temple in the Lonzo Ball signing trade, and then got Devontae Graham for the picks from the from the Hornets. I did not like. I mean, I like the Jonas Valanciunas thing, and I like the Trey Murphy pick, but I just don't like I just don't like what they did, man. They had so much expectations of getting a big name point guard. They were like, we're gonna get Kyle Lowry, Chris Paul. They didn't even try to match Lonzo. Like, they ended up with Devontae Graham, who's solid, but he's not like anything compared to those three players I just named. Zion is probably out of there soon, so we'll see what happens with their team. But their draft and the Jonas Valanciunas trade is the only reason why I'm giving them a C plus. Otherwise, it would probably be a D.
Hey, I don't know why you think that they did that bad. I think they actually did really well. Trey Murphy was a great pick for them. I like Trey Murphy a lot. I thought he'd go a little bit higher. That Valanciunas trade was, I think, a huge W for them. And the Lonzo Ball, it was a sign. Oh no, never mind. Actually, it was a sign trade. They got Tomas Satoransky, who's also going to fill in that backup point guard role, which he's going to add a little bit of veteran experience. Actually, no, he's pretty young. What am I saying? Veteran experience. Tomas Satoransky is not going to do much for them, as they also have Kyra Lewis off the bench. So, actually, yeah, maybe that wasn't that great of an idea, not matching Lonzo Ball. But they did get I can't speak. Devontae Graham to return. Just give me.
I thought the Pelicans. I think I'm gonna give the Pelicans an A. I thought they did a solid job. They're basically saying they're letting Lonzo walk so they can put Nickeil Alexander as the point guard. They're saying, here you go. Here's the keys. Give the ball to Zion and Ingram. Bye. And Valanciunas will help. Devontae Graham, great 6-man off the bench. Unless they start Devontae, but this team is going to be interesting, but I got to give them an A. I thought they did a solid job this offseason, getting rid of Bledsoe and Steven Adams too. So, yeah.
Yeah, they definitely did a really good offseason, getting rid of, like you said, getting rid of Steven Adams and Eric Bledsoe's contract, as well as they only moved down 7 picks to do so. They get a better center, pretty obviously here in Jonas Valanciunas, who's going to be a better person or better player than Steven Adams with New Orleans. He's a better player in general, and also now with Jonas Valanciunas being a decent threat, like you can't really leave him open from the 3-point line, just like you can leave Steven Adams open. Jonas Valanciunas can actually stay back, which will bring the defender at least a little bit closer. But with Steven Adams, that kind of clogs the paint. You can't really have Steven Adams at the 3-point line ever unless there's an ISO or something. But he brings no threat from beyond the paint, and that kind of clogged the paint, bringing more defenders onto Zion Williamson, which he still put up 25, 27 points or something last season. But I really like this deal, getting Jonas Valanciunas, who can actually space the floor better for the Pelicans with Zion, and also drafting Trey Murphy at, I think, 17, I want to say, which was a really good pick. So I'm going to be giving the Pelicans probably an A- this offseason.
New York Knicks, big additions were Quentin Grimes, Deuce McBride, Jericho Sims, draft and stash dude I'm not even going to try to pronounce. Alec Burks, Nerlens Noel, Evan Fournier, Derrick Rose, and then Kemba with the buyout really, really solidifies this team as a playoff team in my eyes. They lost out on Reggie Bullock, but they replaced him with Evan Fournier, so I don't think that's too big of a loss. Evan Fournier can shoot the ball, but he can also score. So in essence, you can also say that he's an upgrade in some sense. Kemba can be a starting point guard for them. He's definitely an upgrade over Elfrid Payton. I'm gonna give this team an A, man. I think they did really well. Like the Kemba buyout, it was a good risk to take, especially because they're only paying him $8 million. So I like that. I like what they did.
I'm gonna give the Knicks an A as well. They did very well bringing back their core pieces, getting Randall on extension, Kemba $8 million. Fournier is a little bit of an overpay, but I don't mind that for a shooter. It's overpaid, but still it's a shooter. They'll be nice, but they're not gonna be that good. They're gonna be sitting from the 5 to 8 spot. I feel like this team they don't have that superstar. Julius Randle's not a superstar. He's not even he's not a superstar. So I'll still give him an A, but I don't think they're doing that much this season.
Oh yeah, the Knicks definitely get an A, but I mean you have to think that Julius Randle he's definitely not the number one option on even an Eastern Conference Finals team. I think like you said they're going to be on the lower part of the Eastern Conference this year. I don't see them doing much. I think Kemba Walker is he's a great point guard. I don't want to say superstar obviously, but he's capable of being the starting point guard on a playoff team. But I don't think that the Knicks are going to do much. I think they're getting that backcourt from Boston and Fournier Kemba, bringing them over to to New York, and it depends how Julius Randle's going to play. If he can put up 25 points, and maybe they can be a top 5 seed and make it to the second round at most. But if Julius Randle can't put up at least 22 points a game, I don't really see them getting past that first round. But I'm not going to make any promises. I said that they would be the 15 seed last season, the 14 seed, I think. But we'll have to see what happens.
All right, next team, Oklahoma City Thunder, drafted Josh Giddey, Trey Mann, Jeremiah Robinson Earl. Obviously did the buyout with Kemba. Brought in Mike Muscala, re-signed him, got in Derek Favors, and then traded away Al Horford and Moses Brown. I mean, it's OKC. They're just trying to build for the future. So their picks, I like the Josh Giddey pick. I really did. A lot of people, obviously it might have been a little bit high, but I'm a big believer in if you like your guy, get your guy. And Josh Giddey really fits that team. I'm a big fan of Josh Giddey going there because they don't have a true playmaker. And then you can have Shea score the ball. Josh Giddey can get in the ball. Trey Mann can come off the bench. You got rid of Kemba, and now you're good. So I like the Josh Giddey pick. I thought that this is a good situation for him. And yeah, I think he's gonna surprise some people, man. I'm really high on him. So I'm gonna give the Thunder a B.
Yeah, the Thunder they did okay. They brought back a few guys. They signed Derek Favors, Kemba buyout, traded away Al Horford, Moses Brown. I think that the Thunder's pick with Josh Giddey fits the team very well. Although it was a little high, it does fit their team very well, like Suas said. I think that just because that was slightly high, maybe they could have traded down a little bit, got a little bit more value out of their pick. So I'd probably give them like a B minus.
I'm gonna give the Thunder a B. I thought they did solid in the draft. Got they got the 16th pick from Boston. Got rid of the Al Horford contract, bought out Kemba. Again, this is a future team. I think Josh Giddey's really good. He's got the potential to be really good. They did a solid job, I felt. So I'm gonna give them a B.
Yeah, I'm gonna give the Thunder a B. Also, I think they obviously extended Shea to that deal. Dolphins in 4. I want to say that the Thunder they got their guy in Josh Giddey, and obviously they wanted him from the start. It looks like, but I think like you said, they could have traded down in the draft and gotten somebody, gotten some value and gotten Josh Giddey. But yeah, I think they re-signed some guys in. I want to say like Mike Muscala too. also extending Shake's that 5-year max deal. But yeah, I'm excited to see what the Thunder can do this season. Mainly Josh Giddey and also Shea, who was out for a lot of the season last year with that injury. But yeah, it's the start of a rebuild. I don't expect them to be better than the 10 seed, but we'll see. I'm giving the Thunder a B.
Orlando Magic, I thought had an amazing draft. Jalen Suggs fell to 5. Franz Wagner at 8. I like those two picks. Franz Wagner, I think is a very intelligent basketball player. I think he'll fit right in with the Magic. And then Jalen Suggs will be, they still have Cole Anthony and Fultz. This probably means Fultz is gone, but Jalen Suggs was best player available, so you had to take him. And then, especially if you don't really have like a centerpiece to build around, which the Magic don't. They have an abundance of like co-stars who are young, but they don't have a solidified guy to build around. And Jalen Suggs could be that guy because he's probably the highest pick they drafted since probably Jonathan Isaac or Mario Hazonia. Jonathan Isaac, yeah. So he's probably going to be the guy that you're trying to build around, which I don't blame. Apart from that, didn't do much in free agency. Brought back Mo Wagner and then got in Robin Lopez at the center position. I don't know why they got in Robin Lopez. Maybe just for the veteran presence, but I thought they were pretty loaded at the center position with Mo Bamba and Wendell Carter. So and Mo Wagner. So I don't know what the Robin Lopez thing was about, but for their draft alone, I'll give them an A-. I thought they had a really nice draft.
Yeah, so the Magic, they didn't really do too much outside of the draft, but I think the draft picks were pretty amazing. Jalen Suggs was an amazing pick at number 5. He's one of the best current players in the draft. His potential might not be as high as others, but as of right now, he's one of the best players. So he's going to provide them with instant ability, and same thing with Franz Wagner. He might not have the highest potential, but he'll also provide them with instant ability. And they're gonna have a great young core on that team. Hopefully Markelle Fultz doesn't get injured next season. He's been getting injured pretty often, although he's a great player with some good potential. I'd give them a B plus.
I'll give the Magic an A-. They did a solid job in the draft, and they're a young rebuilding team. Good for them, man. They got Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner, who I think is a good high IQ type player. They'll be set for the future. They get Markelle back. Cole Anthony's a stud. This team has got some future potential, but they just got to rebuild now. So I'm gonna give them a B plus for this offseason.
Yeah, I'm also gonna give the Magic a B plus. I don't really know what their situation is with their guards. Obviously Cole Anthony and Markelle Fultz are there. Now they're bringing in Jalen Suggs. Most people expected them to get Scotty Barnes, but instead they have another guard here in Suggs. They also have RJ Hampton, as well as I think another player that I'm forgetting. I can't remember his name right now, but yeah, they have a ton of.
Williams.
I think so. Yeah. But they have a ton of guards, and I think that they could. I mean, who knows? Maybe they make a move with one of these young guys, but we'll see what happens there. I like their team though. Jonathan Isaac, who's a stud defensively, and I like the future of this team. They went to that full rebuild last year's trade deadline when they traded obviously Fournier, Vucevic, Gordon, all those guys. But they're a young future rebuilding team, so we'll see what they do this season.
All right, Sixers. Let's rapid fire through these last teams. Jaden Springer was their main pick. Like the pick. Furkan Korkmaz re-signed him. Brought in Drummond, Danny Green, re-signed him. George Niang, and lost Dwight Howard. I mean, the Sixers are really gonna. I don't really care what the Sixers do until they figure out this Ben Simmons situation, because apparently he's not returning calls of Joel Embiid. So that situation's a mess. But I'll probably just give them a C, just because I don't know how to judge them until the Ben Simmons trade is done, because I don't know what the situation with their team is next year.
The Sixers, they got a good pick in James Springer. They brought back a few guys, signed George Niang, lost Dwight Howard, got Drummond, like you said. So I think they did pretty solid. They didn't do too bad. Like you said, Ben Simmons' situation there is kind of bad, and you need to figure out what's happening. And I don't know if they're going to release to the public, if anything, if any of these like rumors are false or not. But they gotta figure it out. So I'd probably give
No,
them.
those rumors are from Shams, bro.
They're from Shams. No, they weren't.
Yeah, they were. The one where it said Ben Simmons was not returning calls was from Shams because I watched the show.
Oh, okay then. I didn't think it was from Shams. Never mind. All right, so yeah, they gotta sort that situation, and that's changing my mark for them. I'm probably gonna give them like a B- or C+ for that.
Yeah. The Ben Simmons not returning any calls, I think, was from Shams, but they lost Dwight Howard, who went back to Lakers. But don't worry, it's okay. They did bring in Kareem Abdul-Drummond. Oh yeah, that's my bad. Tatus can go right after me. But they also brought in Danny Green, or they re-signed Danny Green for Korkmaz. But yeah, they brought in Drummonds, and that's basically it. Another non-shooter that is going to help the Ben Simmons situation. Probably not, but we'll see what Philly does with Ben Simmons. But yeah, I'm gonna give them a C+.
I really don't know if I can give the Sixers a grade, so I'm going to give them a grade of incomplete because this offseason is incomplete for them right now. We don't know what's going on with Ben Simmons. They did get Korkmaz back, but it's all about Ben Simmons now. What do you do with him? How do you get rid of him, or do you like stick with him? I think they have to get rid of him though. Like the damage has been done. We saw it Game 7 this year. Like just no. So I'm gonna give them incomplete.
All right, Portland Trailblazers get an F, bro. I'm not even gonna list out their picks or whoever they got because they're.
Bro, what are you talking about? They got Goat Zeller. What are you
Oh,
talking
never
about?
mind. A plus, A plus, A plus. No, but in all seriousness, I'm gonna give him an F because Dame Lillard, he was like, we're gonna have to make some big moves this offseason. They didn't really do shit, so man, just request a trade, bro. Like they're not trying to help you win. So I'm gonna give them an F.
Yeah, I know. I'm agreeing with you here once again. I think the Blazers with the roster they have right now and the moves they haven't made, they're just losing. Sorry, they're just slowing down Dame's career. He's getting older and older, and they're not doing anything about it. He wants to stay loyal, but I don't know if this front office has what it takes to make the moves and make the proper moves to help Damian Lillard have a championship roster. They've only gone to the Western Conference Finals, and that was through teams that had injuries as well. So, I don't know. They got to do something. I'd give them like a D.
Yeah, I'm gonna give them an F. It doesn't matter in my opinion. You did absolutely nothing to help this man. You signed Norman Powell, fine. You did nothing else. You didn't get Ennis Cancer back, who I thought was okay for them last year. You didn't resign. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me, man. This team could be so much better, but their front office and head coaching staff is trash. Thank God they got rid of Terry Stotts. But I gotta give them an F. Just a terrible job this offseason, in my opinion.
Yeah, the Blazers didn't do, anything. All they did was basically re-sign Norman Powell to that big extension, 5-year, $90 million, same as Duncan Robinson. But they lost Carmelo. They pulled the qualifying offer on Zach Collins. I think they lost NS Cantor, and I guess they gained Cody Zeller. I didn't even realize that until now. But other than that, they're nothing. Nothing. The Blazers aren't going to do anything. If they were the 6th seed last year, getting eliminated in 6 in that first round, I don't see them getting any farther than that with the even worse team. And with now the Lakers with every single team in the West basically getting better, and also in the East, it's going to be fun to see what Damian Lillard does. But maybe he just rides it out. But I think in the end, just request a trade to South Beach.
All right, next team, Sacramento Kings. I'm gonna keep this very short. Was not a fan of what they did in the draft. Everyone knows that I don't think Davion Mitchell should have been picked in the top 10. I like the player. I just don't think he's a point guard, bro. You're not trying to pick a backup point guard with the top 10 pick. I don't know where the idea came from that it was okay with picking a backup point guard as a top 10 pick. That's the stupidest shit I've ever heard. Like that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. So Sacramento Kings, um, I don't know why they picked Davion Mitchell. I would have liked them to pick someone else, but it is what it is. I still think he can be a good player, but just not there. They already have Fox. And it's not like you're moving Fox to the two. He can't shoot. So I don't know what they're doing there. But the thing that's gonna save this grade is re-signing Rashawn Holmes because I think he got re-signed for pretty cheap. I'm pretty sure it was like 4 years, 55. So
Yeah, it was for
his market, yeah, his market was like 80, and the fact that he got 55 was I thought pretty nice for them. So just because of that, I'm gonna give them a C plus.
I think you're disrespecting Davion Mitchell just a bit. Calling him a backup point guard. No, he's not. He's a really good defender. He can score the ball
Oh no
too.
no no no! He's a backup point guard on that team.
Okay, never mind. Okay. No, but yeah, Davion Mitchell, the pick just doesn't make sense unless they're trying to trade Fox for Simmons, which what the reports have been. Simmons can probably be like a point forward and run the four for them, and they're probably going to trade Bagley. So Davion Mitchell would start there in that situation. But yeah, the pick didn't really make sense. He's a good player. I love him. I love him as a player, but it just doesn't make sense for their current roster. So yeah, they re-signed Rashawn, and I think they just got to get Bagley out of there. He doesn't want to be there. He's not developing well. Just they need to get him out of there. They need to get what his value's worth and trade him now. I'd give them like a C plus.
Yeah, I don't know what the Kings are doing. CBH. The only thing that saves their grade, like Suas mentioned, is that Rashawn Holmes signing. I thought it was re-signed. I thought they got him for good value back. But like I love Davion Mitchell, but you did not pick him if he's not a need on your team. You did not need another guard on your team. You already have Halliburton, Heald, and Fox. There was literally zero need to go get a guard. Sengun was sitting on the board, if I'm not mistaken. You could have gone with him. It just doesn't make sense, man. Like, I don't know what the Sacramento front office does during their drafts and free agency days. Like, do they smoke weed or something? Because that's what they on right now. But I'm gonna give them a C plus. I have no idea what they're doing. They're gonna be sitting at the bottom of the West for years. And De'Aaron Fox is eventually gonna ask for a trade because that's how trash this organization is.
Yeah, I mean my bad. Obviously the Kings are in this rebuilding thing where they haven't made the playoffs in I don't even know how many years. But they looks like they were rebuilding the draft. I mean, I don't even know what they were thinking taking Davion Mitchell's a great player coming out of Baylor, obviously, but to take him, it didn't even really mean this much this high up in the draft at number 9. That's decent value, but to a team like Sacramento who already has Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield, De'Aaron Fox, I don't really see them the reason behind taking Davion Mitchell here. Another point guard or shooting guard, I don't know what he is, but it still adds to the guard situation in Sacramento. So I don't know what's going on there. And also in free agency, nothing happened there either, other than bringing back Rashawn Holmes for a bit more than I think he's worth. But in the end, I'm giving Sacramento a C minus.
All right, going back to the Phoenix Suns because I did skip them. They did not have any picks, so they traded their pick away in the Landry Shamet deal, which I thought was a nice trade for them. I think Landry Shamet is a nice shooter that they can put alongside Chris Paul and Devin Booker coming off the bench. I like the JaVale McGee pickup. They had some problems in the playoffs where Dario Saric got injured, and they didn't really have size. Like Frank Kaminsky played pretty well in Game 6, but apart from that, defensively, he was not that great. So JaVale McGee is a guy that can be a rim protector, especially if DeAndre Ayton gets in foul trouble. Biggest thing was re-signing Cameron Payne and Chris Paul. Both of them, especially Chris Paul, on a cheaper contract. And the last 2 years of the deal are not guaranteed. The last one is partially guaranteed, and the second to last one is partially guaranteed, and the last one is non-guaranteed. So that was pretty smart by them. Torrey Craig will be a loss, but I don't know how big of a loss it'll be because he didn't really play in the playoffs. And Javon Carter, they replaced him with Landry Shamet in that trade. So I like what they did. Nothing over the top, but they did what they had to, running it back, I guess, with a couple of new additions. So I'm gonna give them a B plus.
I'm kind of lost right now. Can you repeat what you said?
Oh, the Suns with what they did.
Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry. I don't know. My brain just blanked again. Yeah. So the Suns, they brought in Landry Shamet for Javon Carter. I think that was perfect for them. Javon Carter didn't really fit their team anymore. As Cameron Payne kind of stole his thunder. He was a great player for them in the playoffs. He brought scoring, playmaking, and defense. So Javon Carter's role didn't really it wasn't really there for him anymore. So they brought in Landry Shamet, who's a great young player, great shooter, and I think that was a good little pickup right there. I'd probably give them like a B, maybe a B minus for this postseason. They didn't really do much.
I thought the Suns did a good job re-signing back Campaign and Chris Paul. That was the main thing they needed to do. So I'll just give them a B plus. I mean, they basically did what they needed to, and getting JaVale McGee is a plus as well, especially gold medal JaVale McGee.
Yeah, the Suns really didn't do much other than re-signing some of their guys. They did bring in sorry, they lost Torrey Craig, and they re-signed Abdel Nader, Chris Paul, and Cameron Payne. Chris Paul, it's the situation where you got to get those 2 last years of, I don't want to say garbage time, but not as good as what you're going to get now. To get those 2 years of what you're gonna of the better side of Chris Paul, to try to run it back, get that championship run in, and this time win it. Also with Cameron Payne and Abdel Nader, some guys off the bench that really Cameron Payne really stepped up this season, made a case for his name, and I think the Suns did. They traded their pick for Landry Shamet, which adds another shooter. They did get rid of Javon Carter, but he barely played. So I do like this offseason a bit for the Suns. Also bringing in, by the way, JaVale McGee to be a backup center more than likely because Sarge is out. But yeah, I like this offseason for the Suns, so I'll give them a B.
All right, down to the last 4 teams. San Antonio Spurs, Josh Primo. I love Primo, man. I think he's one of my favorite players in this draft. One of my biggest sleeper. 12 was pretty high for him, though. No, I don't think anyone projected him to go 12. Maybe they tried to trade down for him, and it didn't work out. But if they didn't, I would probably have liked them to trade down because you could probably gotten some stuff in return. But Primo has been going pretty crazy in summer league. I like what he's been doing. Joe Wieskamp is very similar to Duncan Robinson. I'm telling you guys right now, he's Duncan Robinson 2.0. That's what he reminds me of. They brought in Doug McDermott, another shooter. Zach Collins, he can't stay healthy, but if he does, it's a plus for them. Bryn Forbes going back there. Jock Landale is very underrated. He's not played in the NBA, but if you've been watching the Olympics, Australia has been utilizing Jock Landale a lot, and he's been going crazy for them. So they brought him in, and then Chandler Hutchinson they got from the Patty Mills sign and trade, and then they got Thaddeus Young, which I thought was an underrated pickup from the DeMar DeRozan trade. They got the like 2 or 3 future firsts. They're rebuilding. That's fine. I'm gonna give them a B.
For the Spurs, they did a lot of great moves. Getting these players and getting Thaddeus Young especially, that was a great pickup for them. But I feel like taking Josh Primo at 12, like although he's a great player, I thought he was going to be one of the great steals in this draft. But all the way up at 12, everybody had him going like mid-20s, maybe low 20s. But he was normally a mid-20s player. Picking him at 12 was kind of very surprising to me. I think that kind of brings down their offseason, in my opinion. Suas knows more about college ball, so maybe he thinks that I'm speaking blasphemy right now. But I don't know. It just kind of brings down their offseason for me. I'd probably give them like an A minus normally, but this kind of drops it down to a B for me.
Yeah, I thought they did a very good job compensating for the DeMar DeRozan loss, and they did a very good job in terms of getting what's his name? Who else they get in free agency? I'm blanking out.
They got
Uh,
they got Thaddeus Young. They got Doug McDermott, Zach Collins, Bryn
McDermott.
Forbes.
That's what it was. McDermott. I thought they did a good job getting McDermott. And Josh Primo. Yeah, again, he should have been in the 20s, but I mean, again, it's sort of like the Raiders in the NFL. The Raiders get whoever they want, rather than picking off based off of where they stand. So I don't know. They're gonna have to go. They're gonna have to. They're gonna have to. They're gonna have to figure stuff out. They're gonna be a rebuilding team, but I thought they did an okay job. I'm gonna give them a B.
Yeah, I'm gonna give the Spurs probably a B. I didn't really expect them to obviously sign, any great guys out there. They lost DeRozan, Rudy Gay, Trey Lyles, Patty Mills, and I think, yeah, that's it. But maybe some other guys too. But I think that those are the main guys that they lost. They're obviously going into a rebuild, and I think starting off this year, taking Josh Primo was already off to a bad start in the rebuild. I think this could be ending up being an underrated pick considering how most people are overrating it. But in the end, it was just a surprise. That's all we're gonna get out of their college highlights. In the end, we'll have to see how they. I mean, none of these guys have stepped a second in the NBA, so we'll see how they do with their professional teams. But right now, I'm gonna have to give the Spurs a B minus.
Next team, Toronto Raptors drafted Scotty Barnes at 4. Great pick. I love the pick. Got back Gary Trent. Obviously traded for Goran and Precious in the Kyle Lowry trade. Precious will be good for them, man. I don't know if he's gonna start or come off the bench, because they have Chris Boucher. But even if he starts, the Raptors might play him at the 4. I know that he tried to play him at the 5, but he's more of a 4 to me. He's not a 5. There's no way he's a 5. He can't catch the ball. Um, he has very low hand-eye coordination. He's not a 5. He's a 4. He can catch lobs though. That's the only thing he can do. Like as far as like what a 5 can do, he can rebound a little bit. But I think Precious has a lot of people don't know this. His shot form is not bad from the 3-point line. He's hit a couple of threes. He's taking some off the dribble pull-ups, but his free throws really needs improvement. I don't know if he's going to improve that or not, but he's terrible at free throws. Goran, it'll be interesting to see what they do with him. I don't know if he's going to stay there on the team or not. They were talking about him not being able to buy him out, but we'll see what happens with him. But I love the Scotty Barnes pick. I like the Gary Trent pick. The re-signing of him. I'm gonna give the Raptors a B plus.
Something about the Raptors is that a lot of people were disappointed with Scotty Barnes at 4, but something that not many people know is that during college, Scotty Barnes' shot wasn't the greatest, but in like pre-draft workouts, I sent this to the guys before we recorded, but in the pre-draft workouts, he was shooting really well apparently. Many teams and the Raptors just they were in awe and they started asking to shoot more and more, and he took a lot of shots in the workout with the Raptors and he was making it consistently. So clearly he has a work ethic to make his shot better and try to get prepared in the NBA. So with his draft comparisons, maybe he can be a Ben Simmons kind of player who actually develops a shot, so he can become a great player. And I think that was a great pick for the Raptors. Another really underrated pick, I'm not sure if many of you guys know of him, is Delano Banton. He's a really lengthy guard. He's 6'9", and he's great guard skills, especially at his height, and he's going to surprise a lot of people too. I think that the Raptors also got a fair amount what they need in that Lowry deal. It was time for Lowry to move on. Didn't fit our timeline. He deserves to go to a contending team, possibly win another championship. And getting a young player like Precious Achiuwa with good potential back was a great thing. And a lot of people are talking about Dragic being bought out, but one of the best Raptors reporters talked about it, and he said that you need to go to rehab if you think that he's going to get bought out. So clearly the Raptors are looking to either trade him or keep him, but right now it's looking like they're trying to keep him. Maybe Dallas want him, but other than that, there's no rumors he's probably going to stay. I'd give the Raptors an A minus.
Yeah, I'm gonna give the Raptors a B plus. Actually, I actually called the Scotty Barnes pick. I literally called it on our mock draft too, and I remember Darian being like, "Hell no," but it was kind of I kind of expected it because I heard Jalen Suggs didn't do well in his workouts, and so I figured Scotty Barnes would be the pick. Again, you're not gonna get a type of defender like Scotty Barnes in a while in some of these drafts, and it was a good pick by Toronto, I thought. As for off-season play, the loss of Lowry is gonna hurt. But this is a semi-rebuilding. It's not a rebuilding team. It's a retooling team. If you want me to be more specific, they've got a lot of potential in the team. Siakam has got to step up. But I'm gonna give them a B plus. I thought they did pretty solid this year.
Oh, never mind. Okay, Hudson left. Utah Jazz. Utah Jazz. Second to last team. We can. They got in Mike Conley. Re-signed him back. Drafted Jared Butler. Eric Pascal. Great trade for them. They didn't really give up much at all. Hassan Whiteside and Rudy Gay. They got back. Hassan Whiteside can be a backup center to Rudy Gobert, and then I thought Rudy Gay was an underrated pickup for them. I think the Jazz always get these guys that can just fit with their team. So I'm gonna give the Jazz an A. I thought the Jazz actually did pretty good.
I think the Jazz got a nice little pick, and Jared Butler, he was projected to go a little higher than he got picked, maybe like a couple picks, maybe 4 or 5 picks ahead. But um, they did lose Gorgeous Niang and Derek Favors, but they did replace them perfectly with Rudy Gay and Hassan Whiteside, and they also got back Eric Pascal, who's a great young talent for basically nothing. So I think that they did really well. One thing that I didn't like is losing Derek Favors. I think he fit their team like perfectly. He could stretch the floor just a tiny bit. He could shoot like a mid range, maybe not the 3-point but like he could stretch the floor a tiny bit. That's something that Hassan Whiteside does not provide at all. Um, also Hassan Whiteside, you know it, Suhas, you're a Heat fan. He doesn't play unless he's making money. So I think he's on a minimum with the Jazz. Well, in the past, when he's gotten bad deals that he doesn't like, he just doesn't perform. So as a backup, I'm sure he won't do too bad. But I don't really like losing Favors and getting Whiteside. Even though Whiteside does have the tools to be a better player than Favors, I just don't think it'll help the Jazz as much as Favors could have. But yeah, I think they did pretty well other than that. I'd give them a B plus, A minus.
Yeah, I'm gonna give the Jazz an A minus for the Mike Conley signing was good, but this team losing Niang is gonna hurt a little bit because he was one of their better 3-point shooters. But other than that, they have their core pieces back together. I would say Joe Ingles is turning a little bit old though, but he still has it in him. Rudy Gobert is a force. Mitchell is an emerging star. They got this. They just need to find another piece somewhere that'll put them over the top. But good off season. I'll give them an A minus.
Washington Wizards, the last team and probably the team that I love this team, man. I absolutely love this team. I'm gonna watch a lot of Wizards games. I'm gonna tune into almost every Wizards games because I'm super into this team, man. It's probably the second team I'll root for apart from the Heat because I just love the roster construction. My boy Rui's on this team. I have him winning MIP this year. Corey Kispert, I love the pick. I think he'll fit right next to Beal. Beal, I think will stay to get his extension because I'm pretty sure he's eligible in 1 year, so I think he will stay because in order for him to get the extension, he has to be on that team, especially because his wife wants to be in DC or something, and he probably will listen to her. Isaiah Todd, underrated pickup. The Russell Westbrook trade, they actually got a lot back. Kyle Kuzma, Montrez, KCP, Aaron Holiday, and then they even got Spencer Dinwiddie back. So, this rotation that they have a very deep team, and I wouldn't be surprised if they made the playoffs if Beal was still there. Spencer Dinwiddie, and then you have Aaron Holiday and Raul Neto as your backups, and then you have Bradley Beal with KCP as his backup, Kyle Kuzma with Corey Kispert and Denny Avdia, Rui Hachimura with Davis Bertans, and then the center rotation is absolutely stacked. They have Thomas Bryant, Daniel Gafford, Montrezl Harrell. I love this team. I just love everything about this team. So I'm gonna give this team an A. I think they did really well.
Yeah, I think the Wizards did really well, and I think that their trade with Russell Westbrook goes all the way back to last season when they traded him for John Wall in that first round pick. I think it really paid off because John Wall's his value really dropped, while Westbrook his didn't drop as much, even though it dropped a little bit. It didn't drop as much. I think that it was the right move to make to trade Russ away. He didn't really fit their team. I don't know why they traded Wall away for another older player, but I guess it worked out. Now they were looking at they got pretty good young pieces back. I don't know why they gave away 3 second round picks to the Lakers. That was kind of confusing in my opinion, but they did. So I think that they made some really nice moves and they picked up Spencer Dinwiddie too. So I'd give them an A.
I'm gonna give the Wizards a B plus. I thought they did pretty well. I think Kuzma will do a little bit better now that he's not in the Lakers spotlight. Um, this team is actually very solid in terms of depth. They've got a lot of depth. Beal, Dinwiddie, Kuzma, Rui, KCP, Harold, Thomas Bryant, Daniel Gafford. They got a lot of depth. Again, I'm interested to watch Washington because I'm interested to see what happens with Beal because I think he either stays or he goes somewhere else. And if he goes somewhere else during free agency, I'm as much as I'm biased as I am inclined to say Boston because I think he wants to play with Tatum, especially since they're both from St. Louis. But I feel like if this season goes all well, he's probably going to stay with Washington. But I give him a B plus. They did solid considering they did give up Russell Westbrook. They got all that package back, and they got Dinwiddie too. So yeah.
All right, that is going to be it for the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you guys as always. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment down below.